So I'm going to start today by pulling the front end apart. We spent a lot of time working on this rear end to get it to sit nicely. Now we're going to have to do the same to the front. We're going to be dropping the front end by like 3.5 inches. And we're going to be doing that by buying new fork tubes and shorter springs. Now, you could just cut the springs and add in like a piece of spacer material in order to drop the front end, but this is a little cleaner and it's going to leave some more suspension travel. Here's another specialized tool hack for airheads. The top cap of the fork uses these two pins, or two holes spaced apart. It's supposed to drop in something called a pin spanner into that in order to unscrew it. Instead, what you can do is get two Allen keys that are about the same size so that they drop nicely into these two holes. Stick them in like that. Hold them and use a screwdriver, pry them apart like that, and there you go. Save yourself a couple bucks. These little PVC spacers that I found in the forks means that somebody probably wanted to add a little preload, or they wanted to lower the fork by cutting the springs. Looks like the top of these springs were trimmed down so that it bikes at maybe an inch or so lower. We're gonna go a little further. Here's a good tip. When you're using your snap ring pliers to try to remove the snap ring holding the damper rod and the fork tube, hold on to your pliers, because if they slip, it's not going to be much fun. I got to make sure that I'm not getting this camera too oily. Well, as you can see, I removed the fork lowers, and then I removed these two snap rings from the bottom side of the fork tubes in order to remove the damper rods that are built into it. Now, if we look close, there's actually a threaded piece that you're supposed to use another specialty tool, BMW socket number 327 or something. But in this case, the slot is about 3/4 of an inch wide, so you can use a piece of flat stock with a vice grip attached to just very carefully get it undone. They're not torqued down very hard, so you're not going to run the risk of deforming any of that metal, though there is a torque spec for when you go to put it back together, so this might not suffice for assembly. was real time, it would be 90% me looking for clues. So I've disassembled the forks completely. As you can see, they're all kind of laid out on the table. All that extra oil gave me a good opportunity to give the thing a good wipe down. Anyway, these fork tubes and these fork springs are going to be what we replace with pieces that are 80 millimeters shorter. That's going to bring the front end down, kind of level the frame out a bit, make it look a lot sleeker. And of course, while I've got it apart, I'll take a look at all of the bushings and O-rings and everything in there, make sure everything's the spec. Now, there was a bit of a gap in my upload schedule, and that's because I've been working on this motor, tearing it down, inspecting everything, but it's not really in a place where it'd be worth your time to watch it. So I'm going to keep working on this thing and filming it. Once I get this thing into a place where I feel like it's going to be worth you guys watching, then I'll make a video on that.